6:18 Pacific. More on Jenna's exclusive interviews with the Biden family. When Joe Biden becomes the nation's 46th president, he'll be joined at the Capitol by a gaggle of grandchildren. Gaggle's the right word.
And the Bidens are a close-knit group. Just ask them, and they're going to be the next first family. We brought you Jenna's conversation with Ashley Biden, the president-elect's daughter, yesterday, and then they were later joined in that interview with four of her nieces, Joe and Dr. Jill Biden's granddaughters. It's a whole passel of Bidens there, Jenna.
I love being with all these granddaughters. He may be the next president, but to Naomi, Finnegan, Maisie, and Natalie, Joe Biden is simply Pop. They are his beloved granddaughters. He calls each of them almost every day. These young ladies are some of his biggest champions. Is it true that he calls all the time, that your Pop calls you guys constantly?
Yeah, that's something that I feel like some people don't believe when we say that he literally calls, not just like one of us every few days. He calls me, then he calls Naomi, then he calls Finn, then he calls Natalie, then he calls Ashley.
President-elect Biden will be sworn in today as the 46th president of the United States. But his most treasured role might be grandfather. We talked to four of his grandchildren, 16-year-old Natalie, Beau Biden's daughter, and Hunter's daughters, Naomi, Finnegan, and Maisie. 22-year-old Finnegan and 20-year-old Maisie are studying at the University of Pennsylvania, and Naomi is a 27-year-old Columbia law grad. Naomi, will you tell me a little bit about something that would surprise everybody about your grandpa?
He didn't start packing until the movers were coming at 9 a.m. I think he started packing at like 10 p.m. And him and my Nana were like, "Need your help?" And we walk up there, and it's just their full closet. We're going through them like, stuff is going to Goodwill, stuff is... I was like, why did you save this until right now?
Maisie, people might think like, no, he was vice president, like he couldn't go to games or concerts or any of that, but he sat at your basketball games.
He came to like every single one of my soccer games, lacrosse games, basketball games. It was always funny, like seeing him show up when I was like, I think I just saw you on TV about 30 minutes ago. How did you just end up here? And he was like, don't worry, I knew it was a big game.
Maisie Biden counts Sasha Obama as a close friend. The two grew up together in D.C. and played on the same basketball team. Is it true that his colleague, President Obama, was your coach?
It is true, yeah.
Totally normal.
I know. There's a lot of teams that were like, this is unfair. They can't have the president be their coach, but, I mean, we won.
The Biden granddaughters are a tight bunch. Their closeness forged through campaigns, the devastating loss of Beau Biden, and long-standing family traditions, like loading up the caravan for the holidays. Natalie, talk about your Thanksgiving tradition.
Well, Thanksgiving, I think, is all of our favorite holiday. Because we usually go to Nantucket, Maisie and I, and my grandpa and my uncle and my dad, we used to do a polar bear plunge in Nantucket in November.
And it would always be crazy because they would have to bring all of the divers and the swimmers for Secret Service for my Pop, and it's like me and Natalie and him holding hands, like sprinting into the water.
I know you were close with your grandparents as well, so to watch your dad be a grandfather, be a Pop.
These women are the loves of his life and mine. He adores them. He adores being a grandfather.
Given their tight bond with their grandfather, the Biden grandchildren were a big part of the decision-making when it came to running in 2020. Naomi, I heard that your grandfather was a little nervous to run. He didn't necessarily want to put all of you through another campaign, and you knew that, and so you called a family meeting. Talk to us about that.
We just kind of all agreed that we had to sit my grandparents down face to face and tell them not only that we want them to run, but that we'll be okay if they do run. And I think it was actually little Hunter, right, who showed him something on his phone, some like tabloid story about the family, but then basically said to him, like, we know about these sort of things. We know it's going to be bad, but we have each other and we know the truth, and like we will be okay. And so I think he came out of that meeting feeling a little bit more comforted. We
This was a campaign like no other, like you mentioned. What was it like to be part of it?
Well, I mean, you've done so many campaigns, so you know, but it really, we started in Iowa and ended up on Zoom. So it was like a whirlwind.
However, election night, or should we say election week, was spent with Nana and Pop as the results trickled in. The family waited anxiously.
Yeah, I'll
We told
celebrate
Natalie
too.
that if she jumped in the lake,
The lake is very dirty.
yeah, it's like the lake.
Did she jump in?
It's like a puddle, and she jumped in.
I jumped in. They were like, if you don't jump in, we're gonna lose. So then I jumped in, and then my Uncle Hunter came out and said that we won Wisconsin. So
We can now project that former Vice President Joe Biden has been elected President of the United States.
Now, on Saturday morning, when the election was finally called and your grandfather was declared winner, there was a picture that Naomi, you posted of a group hug. What was that moment like for your family?
When the results came out and CNN called and MSNBC, it's like your whole body, I mean, everyone was crying. It was just like embraced each other, and we'll always remember that moment.
As their grandfather heads to the White House, they turn to their close friends and former residents of 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue for guidance. You know Sasha and Malia, so in some ways do you feel like you've already been advised about what life is going to be like?
Megan and I and Natalie and Naomi have had the privilege of being able to see two of our friends, navigate 8 years of what was really difficult, and they did so beautifully. And they came out so grounded and humble, and they're so smart and driven. So I think we can only take advice from them.
Yeah.
They only hope to do their best as well as they did. They just did it so beautifully.
Naomi, what are you most excited about?
I'm most excited, I think, to see what my Nana and Pop are gonna do. They are so excited. They have so many plans, and it's just a time in their lives and our lives and in America where we have the opportunity to do so much and to do things differently. I'm really excited that they'll be just, a few miles away from my apartment so I can go steal some free food in the kitchen.
Don't you love to hear from them about Pop and Nana? It's like we sometimes just think of these political figures as caricatures, as politicians only, but there's so much more. And I think to President-elect Biden, grandfather is one of his most beloved roles.
I felt like I learned so much from that story. First of all, I didn't realize that the Biden grandkids and Sasha and Malia Obama were friends. I didn't know about the basketball game. But I like that they have some guidance, because it must be daunting. I was thinking, it must be a lot for a young kid like that would know to step into that.
Yeah, I think in college in particular, I was in college when my dad was elected, as we may remember from those freshman 15 pictures. But I think yes, but I think when you are grounded in love as a family, it's like you still have that. And I think they have said that. Ashley said it yesterday. The grandkids said it. And, they asked me for some secrets, which we did not air. But I told them some fun things.
About the White House?
About the White House that they can look forward to. And I just, I can't help but be in awe when I meet people that are about to live history. Because I just know what it was like for my family. What a privilege it was.
Well, I think you're the only one who could get that.
Oval remains unchanged, but what's inside reflects the priorities of a new president. Joe Biden surrounding himself with a lineup of great American heroes. A massive portrait of FDR, who steered the country through times of crisis. Benjamin Franklin emphasized President Biden's focus on following science. And paired together in the room where it happened, fierce rivals Alexander Hamilton and Thomas Jefferson. A reminder in a democracy of the value of differing views. Deputy Director of Oval Office Operations, Ashley Williams, is our guide.
Welcome to President Biden's Oval Office.
For a president, these symbols set a tone about who inspires them and who they hope to inspire. Civil rights icons MLK Biden's back. Latino labor leader Cesar Chavez.
City of experience, the resilience, and the possibilities of the American future.
Items identified with President Trump now gone. Jackson. And flags for the branches of the military. Its return from the Clinton years. And staying put, anchoring it all, the resolute desk. where President Biden will be framed by personal touches, photos of his family, the transfer of power, and the transformation of one of America's most revered places. Peter Alexander, NBC News, inside the Oval Office.
I just don't know about QAnon. Card, you need ID.
He wants to host next year's G7 summit.
You know, the floors of the forest, very important. Frederick Douglass is an...
Ivanka Trump, the president's daughter, is sitting in for the Secretary of State.
Republicans are red, and that map was so red from Suchin, Tendolkar to Virat Kohli.
Trump tweeting, the New York Times.
Okay, that's enough. Let's go.
This Russian bounty story, we have multiple sources saying that Trump knew all along.
I was there for a tiny, little short period of time, and it was much more for an inspection. There was no problem during the day.
And said, quote, crazy Joe Biden, he doesn't know me, but he would go down fast and hard, crying all the way.
They'll go out and they'll vote, and they're going to have to go and check their vote by going to the poll and voting that way. People are flushing toilets 10 times, 15 times, as opposed to once.
The State Department is emphasizing to world leaders that they should stay at Donald Trump's hotels.
And they say the noise causes cancer. You tell me that one.
Trump ordered Robert Mueller masked at all times. And Trump puts on goggles but no mask.
And we're building a wall in Colorado. We're building a beautiful wall.
Trump floated the idea of swapping Puerto Rico for Greenland. The ramp that I descended after my West Point commencement speech was very long and steep, had no handrail, and most importantly, was very slippery.
Our army manned the air. It ran the ramparts. It took over the airports. It did everything it had to do.
Wherever Trump goes, he tries to make himself seem dominant over whoever he's shaking hands with. Trump's strong-looking situation photo was a staged photograph likely taken hours after the event.
Lock them up. You should lock them up. Lock up the buttons. Lock up Hillary.
I too have a nuclear button, but it is a much bigger and more powerful one than his. The narcissist in chief Donald Trump wanted his signature printed on all of the checks. He's not reading a presidential daily briefing that has been dumbed down to one page. Mostly pictures, graphs, and maps.
Get that son of a bitch off the field right now. Out. He's fired. He's fired.
So in Florida, I encourage all to request a ballot and vote by mail. The wind direction shifted and it sort of split his hair, sort of back to front. Trump was laughed at by the entire room of world leaders at the United Nations.
One of the wettest we've ever seen from the standpoint of water.
And then they did dumps. They call them dumps, big, massive dumps.
LeVar Ball is unaccepting of what I did for his son. I should have left them in jail.
These aren't people. These are animals. The same vaccine could not work. You take a solid flu vaccine, you don't think that would have an impact or much of an impact on corona? No.
Cummings District is a disgusting rat and rodent infested mess. Compared to other presidents, Trump has golfed more than any modern president.
CNN should be ashamed of itself having you working for them. You are a rude, terrible person.
Trump showed up and started throwing paper towels to people like he was shooting free throws in basketball. Donald Trump's decision to do the Corona Caravan drive around Walter Reed.
Well, it's not the hardest task.
No, but
the picture and it says what's that, and it's an elephant.
No. You see, that's all misrepresentation.
Well, that's what the White House had put together a statement praising McCain and his life and his heroism. Trump said, no statement. I'll post a tweet instead. This is the guy who stared directly at a solar eclipse.
I wanted to always play it down. I still like playing it down.
Trump shared a video of a supporter of his yelling white power toilet paper. Donald Trump revealed highly classified intelligence information to none other than Sergei Kislyak, the Russian ambassador.
You don't know until you test it, but I think I really believe I'd run into it even if I didn't have a weapon.
Donald Trump Trump has blamed Canada for burning down the White House May 10th. Donald Trump has become the third president in the history of the United States to be I guess we'll have to compare IQ tests, and I can tell you who is going to win.
You can test too much. You do know that. Who says that? Oh, just read the manuals, read the books. Read the books. Read the books. What books?
Trump referred to seemingly Haiti, African, mostly non-white countries as shithole countries. Trump also tweeting, "I won this election by a lot."
President Putin, he just said it's not Russia. I will say this, I don't see any reason why it would be.
He invites a college sports team to the White House after a big win, and he serves them fast food.
Option number one. Joe, you agree with Bernie Sanders, his far left, on the manifesto we call it. That gives you socialized medicine.
Look,
are you saying you didn't agree?
Despite the constant negative press covfefe.
This was the largest audience to ever witness an inauguration, period.
Alternative facts.
There are pictures now which appear to show boxes and boxes of Sudafed and upper. He's going to eliminate overtime for hundreds of thousands of postal workers, which could delay mail services and, of course, prevent the delivery of the ballot.
I am proud to shut down the government for border security, Chuck, because the people of this country don't want criminals and people that have lots of problems. In fact, I'll get that piece of paper. We have to make him permanent. He is perfect.
I think that would qualify as not smart but genius, and a very stable genius at that. Trump paid a total of $750 in federal income taxes the year that he won the presidency.
God bless the Palestinians and God bless the United States.
He shoves the president of Montenegro, Filip Vujanovic, out of the way.
And then we fell in love. No, really. He wrote me beautiful letters. They're trying to take you out with bullshit.
President Donald Trump has been impeached again, making him the only president in history to be impeached 2 times.
We appreciate it very much, Tim Apple.
Trump called troops who died losers and suckers.
I hope they now go and take a look at the oranges of the investigation, the beginnings of that investigation.
Trump had protesters tear-gassed and dispersed with horses for Donald Trump to walk to St. John's Church and be photographed holding up a Bible.
Millions and millions of people voted for us tonight, and a very sad group of people is trying to disenfranchise that group of people.
I got it. Why don't we nuke them, Trump said. We drop a bomb inside the eye of the hurricane and disrupt it.
So what are we going to do here, folks? I only need 11,000 votes. Fellas, I need 11,000 votes. Give me a break.
Twitter has banned Donald Trump permanently from its platform. Michael Cohen alleges the hush money payments for which he was convicted, for which he pled guilty, were specifically requested of him by Donald Trump himself. Donald Trump fired FBI Director James Comey.
North Korea best not make any more threats to the United States. They will be met with fire and fury.
Days before the July phone call between Donald Trump and the Ukrainian president, Donald Trump ordered military aid be withheld from Ukraine, with a black circle, potentially a Sharpie, used to draw in a section of the Florida Panhandle and pieces of Alabama.
White supremacists and white supremacists and white supremacists.
Stand back and stand by
The Mueller report. There is an incredible amount of evidence of obstruction, extraordinarily damaging to Donald Trump and to the people around him. So interesting to see, quote, progressive Democrat congresswomen who originally came from countries whose governments are a complete and total catastrophe, the worst. Why don't they go back and help fix the totally broken and crime-infested places from which they came? President Donald Trump has announced that he has tested positive for coronavirus. Donald Trump removed his mask in what I guess was supposed to be framed as some kind of act of courage. The Trump administration is also scaling up the number of children that are going to be held in these internment-style camps.
Right, and then I see the disinfectant that knocks it out in a minute, 1 minute. And is there a way we can do something like that? By injection. And we're going to the Capitol. USA! 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 We love you. You're very special.
President Joe Biden and First Lady Dr. Jill Biden have exited their vehicle. They are entering the north grounds of the White House towards the North Portico to make their first official entrance to the White House as President and First Lady of the United States of America.